You're listening to Mystic Lounge with Alan B. Smith. Rebroadcast on the Onyx Network. Thursdays at 11 p.m. Pacific. Fridays at 2 a.m. Eastern.
Hey everyone, welcome back to this special episode of Mystic Lounge. This is the only episode that we have during the Thanksgiving week. So happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Happy Indigenous Day to all of you out there. And my very special guest is Robyn Peltier. Did I say the name right? Peltier?
You did, yes.
All right, cool. Robyn is a seer and psychic medium. She has a love for the spirit realm and magic and strives to empower others with the knowledge that they too can experience these supernatural energies in their life. She offers readings, psychic development, and occult teachings to those who wish to expand their connection to the world around us. And welcome to Mystic Lounge, Robyn. How are you?
I am so good. Thank you so much for having me. I've been following your show, and it's just such an honor to be a guest today. So awesome. I'm just in so much gratitude.
Thank you. I'm in gratitude as well, because I think that you have a unique and special story, and we are also, I think, to a degree at least, kindred spirits in our passion for coffee, which is previously established. And so anyone who's listening, if you are a fan of coffee, please check out aliencoffeebean.com and use the Mystic Lounge discount code to get their awesome coffee roasts. So if you want to purchase their coffee bean bags, ground or whole bean, I get whole bean and I grind it and make espresso myself. The code is Mystery 20, all caps, Mystery 20. And this is an earlier recording than normal, so coffee is really essential for me right now. It's not an early morning per se. It's around 11 a.m. for this pre-recording. But usually getting into that kind of mystic vibe, it suits well for the evening. But I think Robyn has message of light and embracing the mysteries of life isn't all in the darkness. So Robyn, can you tell us a little bit about your story and who you are?
Yeah. Oh, so much packed into that question. But my spiritual awakening really began from a crisis. And my entire life was kind of upended after a car accident. So that happened in my late 20s. It was like the classic Saturn return. Everything that I had thought I wanted to be and do with my life kind of died at that moment of this car accident. I had to learn to live life with a disabled body. I had to start learning to take responsibility and create a vision for myself to help me move through physical pain, through disability, through a lot of trial and struggle. So it was at this this just day that completely changed my life, just sent me on a completely new direction, which is something I'm so grateful for, because if that never happened to me, I wouldn't have experienced all the beauty and the magic and the mysteries that I have today. Because when I found myself in the first month of healing, so I got T-boned at an intersection. Somebody had ran a red light, and I had a pretty severe concussion and spinal injury. My neck was quite damaged. I developed fibromyalgia, which was very, very painful, and just had a lot of extreme pain in my body. It was really, really hard to navigate. I went from doing stuff like lifting weights and Tough Mudder to looking at canes and just kind of like relearning how to live all over again. I know the timing of the accident was significant because within the 24 hours that it happened, so the next day, I was supposed to be signing my paperwork to be managing a beauty boutique to start taking the training to go in that direction. So it was like right when I was so excited for this opportunity I had been kind of climbing towards for years, it was just in an instant taken. And, you know, I never went back to that job after the accident because I couldn't work there anymore. But I knew in my gut that I was being directed. I could just feel it. And it was before I really even had, you know, any knowledge of the metaphysical. I'd always been like interested. I had books since I was young. I played with tarot cards here and there. There'd been hints along the way, but I did not think for a second I would be sitting here today, you know, telling stories, sharing things about the spirit realm and, you know, magic and just the unseen. It was completely foreign to me at the time.
Yeah.
But in that healing time, that's when my psychic abilities started to come online. I started having precognitive dreams in the first month, and they were so like evidential. My partner was witnessing it because I would like tell him about them. He would be with me when it happened, and he's like, "What is going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." And it was strange because I would also have spirit visits as well. I remember the very first spirit visit I had was probably a couple weeks into healing, and I'm walking through this field in the dream, and I'm in a forest, and there's a forest clearing, and in the middle there's a man standing there, and he looked like an African shaman. It was really interesting. He had long dreads, piercing blue eyes, and I walk up to him, and he's like, "It's time," and I start crying in the dream. I'm crying and I'm crying. And I'm like, "I don't want to do this again." And he's like, "We've done this in past lives. We're doing this again." And then I wake up and I'm like, "What was that?"
Yeah.
That was really alarming.
Yeah. It's the emotional impact when it feels so real. Robyn, can you really quick tilt your camera up a little bit? Is that possible? Because your head's kind of getting cut off a little.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Okay.
Okay, cool.
So
Yes,
yeah.
that reminds me of the impact that visionary states when, you know, people are doing psychedelics or meditation. So what felt special about it in that dream state that it was so impactful?
Well, it was very like visceral. I was so lucid in the dream. It was like we're talking like right now. I had never had a dream like that before.
Yeah.
And I woke up and I didn't know what it meant. Other than I'm like, why did I have so much emotion in the dream? Like, who was that? What did that mean for my life? Other than I knew that I was having like supernatural experiences happening, but I didn't understand like the idea of spirit guides or spirit visitation or anything like that. I didn't realize that we can have helpers in our life, you know, guiding us, teaching us. And that's when I began to meditate and learn a bit more about like journeying and healing. I did a Reiki course. I started studying psychic abilities, learning to practice, gain evidence of what I could do. And, you know, that was a journey that kind of lasted a couple years of just exploring and letting the spirits guide me. So much of my journey from going from having a very, I would say, very disabled body to where I am now, because I'm quite healthy now. So much of that journey going through the stages, letting spirit and we'll say the creator guide me through an honest dialogue that I have almost daily, just asking to be led, asking to be in service. It's been the most beautiful and insane journey of like the synchronicities and the instances that have happened and that like guided me to where I have like where I'm going. That dance, you know, between this world and then a higher, we'll say like that, a higher realm, has been one of like, yeah, just so much mystery. Like I love my journey. I love everything I've got to experience and witness, and I'm so excited to see what my fate holds. because I've went through something that was quite scary, but it's kind of like the monster and the miracle. You know, it's like you're dancing with polarities, and I feel like I've experienced both. And through that, I want to walk like kind of in a middle path to be able to have a hand in the dark and the light, to bring in balance, to bring in truth and understanding, and really help people understand that there's so much more available to us than we can even comprehend. And the most profound and simple thing we can do to invite these energies into our life is to just have that honest conversation. You know, asking for help is where it starts, and
asking
like
for
it
help
works.
For these other spirits or from other humans?
Spirit realm and humans as well. But for me, it was like, please, like, I don't know what this means in my life, like talking to a higher power, please show me. Please show me what this means. Please guide me. What am I supposed to do in this instance? You know, it's like people, when they start having a spiritual awakening, they would resonate with like being like, I've seen 111 or 222, and they have like angel numbers come up. But it gets so much more tangible and evidential as well. Like you can ask for very specific signs. You can like be inventive with it. And that's really how I was led on my journey, was through like really intense signs.
Yeah. Can you give an example, or maybe that first psychic experience that you had?
Yeah, well, I can give an example of like different signs that have showed up that felt very evidential to me. This this one's a cute one. It was like at the very beginning in the first year of healing. I was invited to join a 12-week mentorship for like cultivating a vision. It was kind of like shadow work, really helping you connect to the unseen realm, but it's starting with like accountability for your life, like a beautiful 12-week mentorship. But I'd never spent money on myself before, and I didn't, well, not that kind of money, and I didn't feel like I could justify spending the money, but something in my gut knew I needed to do it. So I remember one day I'm about to go outside, and I was going to go for a walk in the forest to just clear my mind. And if I'm supposed to do this, send me something I have never seen before, not thinking it would actually work. And then so I walk out the door, and then I got distracted by my herb garden. So I look off to the side, and I noticed my bay leaves were wilting a little bit. So I go over there, and I go like start picking a few off. And then I notice I have a bug on me, and it's like about that big. And it looks like a grasshopper. Yeah. And it looks like a grasshopper, but it's like turquoise and like a red, it had red stripes on it. It looks like something like out of a Willy Wonka movie or like Narnia or something. And immediately I'm like, oh my God, because I really don't like bugs. And I like shoo it off me. And then I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, what was that? And I can like get my phone out, and it turns out it's a red-banded leafhopper. And they're in my area, but they're rare. I've just never seen it. I was like, wow, I wasn't expecting, to have that like sign or show up so fast. But it was in that moment I knew, I'm like, I'm signing up. Okay, fine. I'm going to do it. And it changed my life. I went from being in bed and in a lot of pain. I used to get like nerve block injections up my neck every 2 weeks. So I'd get like 12 of them. It made it very hard to even keep my head up. But when I was in that state, I was in this course, and she helped me connect myself with a vision. She helped me develop goals and a why. And I started getting really excited by that. And it was from bed that I started manifesting this new life with her help. And it changed the course of my life forever. And
so where you are now, it started up in here because you were basically essentially immobile.
Yeah. Yeah. So
does that fall into the category of, is it similar? Is it the same as intention, or, the things that we hear from The Secret, that sort of approach, or is it different?
Yes. It's like yes and no. So it's very much in alignment with the law of attraction. You are intentionalizing what you want. You put it on paper, you become that in your life. But through that process, every month my goals would change because I asked to be like shown. So there was also prayer involved with it. There was it's like with manifestation, it's like an art form because you're taking control of your life, but there's also a surrender. So there's like the two different types of energies that you're kind of learning to balance. And I like to, start every day fresh and be willing to see where it goes. So I don't really hold on too tightly to what it is I think I want for myself, because the more I've allowed myself to be led as well, I've learned that those things may not have been, right for me at that moment. When something doesn't come the way I want it, I'm always trusting that it's for a reason. And it usually reveals itself where I'm like, wow, I'm so thankful I didn't get the thing I wanted when I thought I did, because I wasn't quite ready for it. Like Spirit was still preparing me to learn a little more about this or this, so that when it does come, I can handle it more.
Yeah. I had an experience recently, which I'll keep private, but it was something that I was hoping was going to happen, and it just kept not happening, and it was like on and on and on for a long time, and then it just happened at the right moment. Like it really did, and I'm just so glad that I had my wife who was encouraging me, and I was also really patient. And I think like that's patience is part of like I think that surrendering that you're talking about, and that's a really difficult place to be, and that's where that kind of like polarity state is, right? Like how do you on the one hand surrender your will in a sense, but then also take action and use your own will to make the right decisions and to go forward. How do you parse those two things out?
Trust. It's been trust. Because
how does it feel inside of you? Like, because if on the one hand, like in recovery, it's like, let go, and they say let go, let God. I'm not a believer in God, but the universe, whatever you want to call it. But that for a lot of people is very confusing, because it's like, well, okay, but I have to use my own will to do things and to make the choice. So what's that sensation? Where's that? How does that play within you?
Yeah, well, I was there. Okay. I felt uncertain for a while of like learning how to do, the whole manifestation thing. I wasn't sure of myself. So through getting the signs that would come, and then I would see what it would lead to, or I would have beautiful experiences that I could then share from the way that it showed up in my life. It created trust in a higher power. I say my creator. I don't really do the God thing either. But when I say my creator, it's to what created me. That's what I want to pray like directly to. But by having it show up and then seeing, then I was able to start trusting myself for what it was that I wanted. And the more that I had that trust feeling within me, I feel like the more magnetic I became to knowing that my path was going to be one of of magic and mystery and miracles. And I wanted to live a life that, I get to tell stories that inspire people to want to connect to something higher, whether that be the energy of a higher power or even just their own life path, being brave enough to take the steps, because a lot of it requires blind faith. And I've had such beautiful experiences. Like one of my favorite was I deleted my old business and my old podcast earlier this year. I knew I needed a fresh start, but it was very hard to let go of my attachment to the work I'd done. But a lot of it was like my playground and my training ground for learning how to speak online and, articulate my message. And I was messy at the beginning. So it was really good for me to have a fresh start, but I was frustrated. I was led to do it. I felt I needed to, but I had a moment where I was so mad. And I always pray. So I'm in my car and I'm like, why did I do this? I'm like, I know I'm supposed to be like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense. I was so mad. I'm like, if this is what I'm supposed to do, I need a sign right now. And I yelled it. So I got mad. And 2 doves just like flew right up in front of my car, and they went right on the fence. And I was like, oh, that was fast. Because for me, doves, it's a very symbolic and a beautiful sign. I have quite a relationship with the birds. So when the 2 doves flew up, I was like, oh, I'm listening. Okay. I took a video of it because like I've had these like interesting experiences where I feel like they just come so close. And it's like in that moment where I'm feeling shaky and uncertain, it brings this like calmness and steadiness, because I'm like, maybe I don't know today, but I'm going to trust. I'm going to just trust so much. And then it just helps me put in the footwork, every day, being like, I have an idea of what it is I want to do. So I'm going to still show up every day. I'm going to put in that work. I'm going to take care of my life and, my finances and my health, and really just take control of what I know I can. But then I also have this like open, this open road in my mind. I'm like, I don't know where this is going, but somebody else does. And they're with me and they're guiding me. And I'm going to surrender to that. And the more that I have done that, it's just so beautiful. It's almost like, because I'm a reader, I'm a psychic. The art of trust is like what makes you a reader, because you go into like a session, you don't know anything about that person. You don't know what's going to come up. You don't know what spirits are going to show up. You don't know what you're going to see. You kind of go in with a blindfold, and you're going to trust that your abilities, or the spirits, that your spirit guides working with you, are going to show you exactly what that person needs to see, hear, know, experience. It's not up to me. I'm a messenger. And that's a very scary process, because you're vulnerable. You're intuiting different types of images, and becoming a mediator for 2 realms. And that's a scary thing. I know for myself, I had a lot of like social anxiety, perfectionism, wanting to be like really, really right. But I've just had to learn that there's some things you just have to trust. And the more you trust and the less you question and try to filter, the more beautiful and like potent, articulate, even like evidential the message becomes. Because it could be the things, I get that I'm like, that makes no sense to me. But then I say it and they're like, oh my gosh, like I know what that means. It's like the things that my logic mind wants to question can be like somebody else. And that's kind of the art of taking control and being in surrender, in that
do you apply magic to this process as well? Because I mean, I don't know how you feel about labels. Do you consider yourself a witch, or a pagan, or a spiritualist, or where do you find yourself, and how do you apply magic?
Yeah, it's been this like ever evolving process. So there was a time I really resonated with witch. There's been times where like even like psychic medium, I'm like, yes, I can communicate with the dead, but even like using a label was difficult, because I felt like I'm just Robyn in a multi-dimensional. So it's hard to like
You are
pick a
rocking
label.
the multi-dimensional. I love it.
Yeah, that's what it feels like to me. But I guess that like I've kind of moved into more like I'm resonating with like magician, or like there's a term called like a chaos magician, because that's kind of like you put your hand in like all the things. It's like your own process. You're playing around with different things to see what works for you. I have been following like a guy who resonates with the word sorcerer, and he's really, really interesting to me. So I find that the more that I follow this process, the more I kind of need to study the like occult to learn like what it is I'm experiencing. Because a lot of say magicians or sorcerers working with like angels, they would call that like high magic. Learning how to, invoke angels for different healings and things like that. So it's kind of like, it's kind of a mix of like all the things for me. I like to just like take off limitations and do what feels really good in the moment, because that's how I've learned the quickest.
When you say angels, what do you see or what do you mean by that? Because, I don't take uh, the Bible literally. So what's your interpretation of an angel?
Yeah. So I don't take the Bible literally either,
Hmm.
but the way that I would describe these energies, so like an angel is just like it's a powerful force, and you could like take away the name angel and you could be like, this is the collective thought form almost, or like an energy that people
Mm.
believe into, sort of like with deities. I mean, there's different perspectives always, and I'm not like locked into one,
Hmm.
because I've had experiences with different beings that, when they come really close, you're like, it's hard to describe what that energy is.
Yeah.
And you could even say it's an aspect of yourself. Like some occultists believe that you're just invoking a part of you. Like every person may have like that polarity potential inside of them of being like the angel or the devil. It's like that, you see that in cartoons, like with these two like
Hmm.
aspects of what we could be capable of, because there's so much like untapped energy within us. So I mean, that answer itself could be multidimensional,
Hmm.
but when I think of the energy of an angel, it's just this like powerful, benevolent force that's going to. I'm trying to find a way to word this, because, yeah, it's different for everybody. I have an experience kind of related to angels that I'm like humming and hawing about saying, because it could be a bigger story. But
Well, you can go
um,
ahead. I mean, we can go a little bit over. That's okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
earlier this year, like I had the most like magical experience of my life, when it was after I deleted my business and I was just like in full trust. And
Mm-hmm.
part of like my work with magic is I did a ceremony with a good friend of mine where we almost like dedicated our abilities and our path to a higher power in service. In the church, that could almost be like baptism, but we did our own version of it. To just, it was an energetic like call of like, I want to be in service.
Hmm.
And it was really bizarre, because we both did a meditation where we're in this ceremony, and she takes a break and she goes outside, and there's this like beautiful white feather she's never seen before, and she goes to try to take a picture of it, because she's like, this is really weird, like I've never seen anything like this before. And when she tries to take a picture of, you disappeared. There you are. When she tried to take a picture of it, her phone froze immediately. Like the second she tried to like grab the picture, so her phone
Yeah.
went
Yeah.
haywire, and it was like on the fritz, on the fritz. And I was like, "What happened?" Because we're in the middle of this like beautiful, like it's very important to us, this ceremony.
Hmm.
And it was wild, because I sent her 2 emails in that time period because I couldn't contact her on her phone. And it was like, if you need was like the first sentence of the first email, and something in the second one said like there was God in it, but her phone took a screenshot like 12 minutes into being on the fritz, and it just said like it had the two notifications of the email, and it just said, if you need God. And it was frozen like that. That's the picture it took, not the feather.
Whoa.
And like I have
Okay.
chills saying it, and it was
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
weirder. So I'm sitting there, and then my phone starts playing a song, and it was in the middle of a Spotify list of this song, and it said, you don't need a Bible to know the difference between good and evil. And I was like,
Hmm.
this is getting really strange. So I was
Well,
like,
I'm
I
into
think
that.
we, yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
I think we've just got the attention here of these
Yeah.
higher
Seriously.
beings. And so my friend Louise, she started having these feathers show up in her house. It would be like, it was about a good 10 days straight of it being like, there'd be like one on her front door, one on her side door.
Hmm.
She would like just like call me. She's like, I don't know what's happening, Robyn. I'm like, I don't know either. And then I remember like in that too, I woke up one night and there was just like this beautiful white light above my bed. And I'm like, I don't even know what this was. Like it was very interesting. And then I had another night where I was like seeing almost like sacred geometry in the air. And I've had my brain checked, just so everybody knows. I went to a neuro-ophthalmologist and I had an MRI. There's no brain
are you
tumor
on
in
the
here.
defense, Robyn?
I just want to like
Yeah.
ground it down, because I'm like,
I know.
if you're having experiences, please go to a doctor first and check out everything first. So I definitely have checked everything out, but I was like just experiencing something very supernatural. And I'll be honest, like I still don't know what it was all for. I think it's part of it. I'm like, I don't know why we had this happen, but I want to like tell these stories, because it was more than like, going on like Instagram and somebody's like, oh, I'm channeling this angel and this angel. It wasn't anything like that type of energy. It was like, if you even take a picture of that feather, your phone, like that energy, just it's too much for technology. It was very different. It was like a externalized experience that, I don't know how to explain it. And that's when Louise was having all these, like, I would call it angelic visits. I was having like visits with doves, which was very interesting. So we both had that, and we took like video evidence of a lot of it. So I'm like, I have proof.
So you still have that? You still have that video evidence?
Yeah, I kept it.
Yeah. That's amazing. I only had one kind of experience where I was able to capture it on camera, and then I lost the camera. So and I didn't back it up. So I was like, oh my gosh, it was like just more for myself, like, than anyone else. You know what I mean? Like, is it just kind of, it's easy to start doubting yourself, don't you think? Like over time, like, did that really happen to me? Because it's just outside of the norm. Some of these bizarre experiences. And it sounds to me like, was it possible that the two of you are both kind of like in a flow around the same time?
We were in it together. She deleted her business, I deleted mine, and we kind of like went full hermit mode for about 30 days of just like cutting off the world and connecting and just understanding, like, because she has the gift of sight too, and understanding like I would say like our love language is like vision, the path of the seer, understanding, learn. You can read about these things, but you're not really going to learn much unless you experience it. So I really believe that if you have a path with, we'll say, the supernatural, like, it will come and find you. If it wants you to know about it, it will reveal itself to you in one way or another.
What if you want to know about it, though?
Well, there's so many people who do, right? You have ghost hunters, and they're, they're chasing these experiences, and some people are not able to get like anything on camera, because it can be, it can be hard. I think, though, the spirit realm is just selective, and they have their own agenda that, like, I can't comprehend it. I don't know why some people have these experiences. Like, even in near-death experiences, a lot of people will say like they feel the presence, of different beings, or their intuitive abilities can like shift. Somebody who's transitioning becomes very close to the veil. They have heightened senses and experiences. So it's different for everybody. It's hard to say. It's a weird path. It's a really weird path, because it's a little scary at times.
Of course, yeah. And that's the thing, is like you said, there's not just your psychological vulnerability, but like, that sort of paranormal vulnerability as well. Do you think that it's worth, or maybe that's not the best word, but do you think it's important at all that ghost hunters and others even go out there and seek to capture evidence of this? Or is it the connection? Is it those intimate experiences, those magical experiences that you have, that are important?
One of my passions is like trying to bring back like the sacred into the word sacred. It's really used online a lot, but it's like that very simple, genuine intimacy. I believe that people can experience these types of things in whatever way is meant for them. When you have an open heart and an intention, you have a desire, to help, to learn more, to see the truth in this life. Like, I think that is what opens the door, because we can go and poke and prod spirits with, you know, these invasive TV shows and things like that, or exploiting them in a sense, because you don't know their story. You know, I don't believe that the spirit realm would really interact genuinely unless you just have like a mischievous spirit, you know, that kind of wants attention, wants to spook you. But like even myself, like working with spirits, I'm not going to go and look for trouble in places, because I mean, when you work with spirits, like I said, it's like the polarity. There's the monster and the miracle.
Yeah.
Like what is your intention with this? Because that makes the biggest difference. I think it's having that pure heart and intention, even if it's just in your everyday life. Like people can do that, just like if they're feeling discontent with their job, and they're like, you know, how do I know what my life path is? Well, you can start with the inversion of that and be like, well, what does it not look like? What do I not like?
That's great advice. Yeah.
Yeah. So feeling your discomfort first, and then allowing that to navigate, or to guide you, to open you up to your compass. And then that's when you can like ask, be like, all right, I feel a little discomfort. I can feel there's something more for me, and I don't quite know what it is. Please show me how good it can get. Please guide me. And then be attentive and aware, because people use divination tools like tarot or pendulums, or they go to readers, but like you can read your own day. Your day can be your divination if you pay attention to the patterns and the signs, the omens, the synchronicities. They're all there, available for everybody, if you just are willing to see it. And many people are on autopilot, and they'll be like, oh, that was just a coincidence. And I'm like, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. You have to like question these things and get curious. Curious. Like I'm talking about it very seriously, but it's about playing. Like I've made so many mistakes. I've fallen on my face. You know, I've taken leaps of faith where I'm like, oh, I think I jumped a little too quickly, but I learned. And it's like, I'm getting acquainted with that inner navigation system. And when I really don't know, I always ask for help. So I truly believe that if you're genuine, and when you speak your words, and like people pray from, say, like the Bible, and they have these written out prayers, say something that you mean. Make sure that your words aren't just words. Like fill them with like soul. Fill your words, feel your words, be, you know, that feeling, be that calling. And that's when I believe that you will get a response. But if you don't mean what you say, it's just automatic, you know?
Well, we're going to wrap it up here. That was beautiful. Thank you. Two takeaways, I think. The monster and the miracle. I love that phrase. And Robyn's rocking the interdimensional. That's another takeaway for everybody. So keep an eye on Robyn Peltier on Instagram. That's Robyn with a Y, at robyn.peltier, Peltier. Robyn, it is Thanksgiving. I am grateful for so many things. I know there are some people listening that are home alone, and isolating because they have to, or outside circumstances have caused that, or they're just feeling lonely. What would you say to them right now? Because I want to let them know that they're not alone. They're part of this Mystic Lounge family.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been many times in my life where I have felt very, very alone. But the more that I go on this journey, the more love I feel. And you're never truly alone. Like I have deceased loved ones that say, like when Christmas comes around and Thanksgiving as well, like my grandma was such a shining light in my life. And when she passed, I would always get sad around the holidays because I was missing that love. But I just talked to her because they're so close to us, you know. There's always connection available to us. And the times where I feel lonely, sometimes I just speak. And I'm like, I don't know who's listening or what's around me, but I have that I don't know, that family. I feel like there's like this family around me that loves me and supports me, even when, you know, people can talk with, like, you know, your ancestors, bringing where we put our energy in life, it comes back. That's kind of the law of the universe, as within, so without, as above, so below. When you reached out with that intention, or you breathe love into the universe, love will come back to you, and it always gets better. And it's a beautiful journey, every day that I get to be alive. I'm so thankful. I'm 32. I've had a lot of people, leave my life, and it's just the gift of being able to wake up every day in a body. I'm in a healthy body today. And that is amazing. I know what it feels like to not have that, to be in a place that has heating and water. And, I have kids, so I get to do, my own little dinner with the kids. So it's finding appreciation in just the little things, just taking a moment, a breath, being present with your surroundings, hand on your heart. Wow, it's beating. That's pretty amazing. Like that's a miracle we get to be here. So
yeah,
the little things.
The little things, which are also big things, like a beating heart. I mean, that's, taking those moments every day are so important. Thank you, Robyn. Last and very important question for you. Are dragons real?
Oh, are dragons real? Well, I think that when you use your imagination, you can give life to anything. People can create thought forms, and you could create your imaginary best friend if you wanted to. I think that there's endless energies out there. Like I resonate with an owl. Owls, when I journey into the spirit realm, I always have an owl with me. Some could say that's, my imagination, or maybe I'm utilizing the energies, the collective energies that are associated with the archetype of the owl. So a dragon is fierce, it's protective, it's the element of fire. A lot of people, especially mystics, will use dragons for their own protection. And I think, if you can think it, you can create it. So that's my idea of dragons.
All right. Thanks, Robyn.
Thank you so much. This is so great.
Yeah, and everybody, please go to Robyn's Instagram account and follow her there. And a special thanks to the UNX Network, where this show is rebroadcast Thursday nights at 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and 11 a.m. Pacific Time. And then, randomly throughout the week, the shows will be replayed there as well. So please, check out the UNX Network. There's so many great shows anchored by Jimmy Church, and Race Hobbs and Margie Kay have done a fantastic job of building up that network. It really has that familial vibe to it. So I really appreciate the work that they've done. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Peace and love, and live in the mystery.